start going live and set this side by side with the YouTube chat. Now we should be good to go. Okay, so what we'll be doing here today is first and foremost, literally 1 minute ago I got a reply on a comment that I don't care about. I'm going to close my WhatsApp because that sometimes makes sounds and that's not great. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here today is I need to make like 2 or 3 cutscenes, and then if we still have time after that, I might make some gameplay animations as well. But what we're going to be doing first is I need to be able to animate my player character, and at the moment I don't have like an object for my player character here. And the way that that is going to be a problem is I can just drag in a dummy version of the player character and animate with that. But that's just annoying and really doesn't have any good reason. So if I open up my level blueprint here, don't be alarmed. This is very messy. But somewhere in here, what ends up happening is I start off with add main menu. That's actually somewhere in here. There's a begin play. I'm pretty sure. Question is where. Maybe not. Oh, begin play. There we go. Maybe that should be on the top. I just need to reorder this blueprint to begin with at some point or another. But that makes the most sense. So what we do here is we start with add main menu. And when that main menu is added, we either have a new game option or a load game option, both of which spawn in a third person character. And we don't really want to spawn that in anymore, because if we spawn it in on runtime, we don't have a reference to it right now when we want to animate it. So instead what we'll do is I will get in my blueprints here, my character, player character. I would just drag a player character in right here into the world, and that one will just start falling the moment the game starts up, don't get me wrong. But what we'll do is we'll drag in a reference to that, and instead of spawning in something, we will simply set actor transform, and that we will split up because the scale will keep the same as whatever we put in, and we'll also set the player value to that reference. So now we don't spawn it in, we just set it to the proper location instead, which is just so much easier. I'm not making live cutscenes. I'm making cutscenes live. I don't know what a hold on, my chair is fucking up. I don't know what a live cutscene would be. So no, that's not what's going on at all. Just I'm live. I'm going to be making cutscenes as soon as I have the whole reference issue fixed up. So we'll be doing some animation in a moment. But then that is the load game. If we press the new game button, we also have a thing where we spawn something in. So let's replace that stuff here as well. So we set the player value to that. We just make a redirecting node real quick here. Set that actor transform to its proper values, and that should now fix up the issue that I had before, in theory. So let's test that out. Because I think this will work, but I'm not 100% confident. I'll be real with you about that. The character can be in the persistent world. It should be in the persistent world, actually, as a matter of fact. So if I say a new game, we, for some reason, have to hold right-click to move the camera around. So that is a little weird. But for the most part, this just seems to function properly. So that's good. Disable inputs on level load. Oh, on the first level load, that makes a... No, that doesn't make a lot of sense, actually. Because... Right? Maybe it does. Level load, yeah. Actually, that does make sense. But that doesn't really matter. We'll get to that in a moment. If we load game, we end up in the position where we should end up in. The only thing that is weirding me out a little bit is this whole not being able to turn the camera thing. I've dealt with this before, I just don't remember the exact issue. And it is an issue that I kind of want to have fixed. So let's... let's see, we have the main menu, which we remove from parent in a couple of different ways. Let's see, I run level load on both of these. So let's, if we just say level load, and then somewhere in here, I should really clean this up a little bit. This is honestly like embarrassing how messy all of these different lines here are for no actual good reason. But that's not what this stream is about, so that's not what we're going to be doing here today. I think live cutscenes are a character collides with a trigger box and it triggers an animation sequence on the pawn character through level sequence. It kind of blends in and out. I mean, that's just a level sequence, right? That's just what a cutscene does. I mean, what man, I mean, what we're going to be making here is definitely not going to be like pre-rendered. It will just all be in engine. So I suppose if that's what you want to classify as a live cutscene, that is what we'll be making here today. Let's see, get player controller, something with the mouse. I'm gonna Google this real quick because I do remember having this issue in a different project at some point, and I don't remember how I fix it. Unreal cursor not captured in viewport. It can't just be set input mode. We're gonna set this to game only for the time being, just to see if this fixes anything. But it shouldn't change shit. Yeah, see, this doesn't change anything. There's also no reason that the thing I just did would have anything changed at all. So, that's definitely not it. Oh, let's see. Okay. It's under viewport properties, capture mouse on launch. That can't be it either. I'll figure that out later. This is taking longer than I thought it would. Maybe if I just capture? No. Capture mouse? It's not either. It's something to do with capturing. Oh, set viewport mouse capture mode. Let's set that to capture permanently for now. See if that does anything. Yeah, it might just be a viewport thing, to be honest with you. So let's go back to that other... And then we'll honestly get on with the actual animation that we're going to be doing here today. Let's see. There's settings in the project to capture the mouse on starts. Let's just ignore that for now. What we're going to be doing is we're going to start off here with adding this in here. We need an intro cutscene that plays at the very start of the game, only when you press a new game. And then we need some end cutscenes for the boss here. When the boss has been defeated, we want to play a cutscene. And then we want to play a cutscene of the player ending up in this room where the actual game starts. That is the idea anyway. Let me go back to... It's not the fact that the mouse cursor is showing. That is just a symptom of the issue. The issue is that the mouse cursor isn't being captured by the viewport for whatever reason. So it's only... I'll show again real quick. So if I'm just doing this, and I'm going to mute that. If I'm just doing this, oh, that doesn't actually mute that for you guys. Sure. Just moving around doesn't actually move the camera, but when I right click, it does capture that input and move it around. So that is the issue. Even it's unrelated from actually showing the mouse cursor. All that said, let's can we in any convenient way like pin this so it's always on top or something like that? That would be kind of nice if we could, but maybe we can't. I don't know. Also, let's set this weapon class back to the sword. There we go. Can't change that on an individual basis. We only do that in the defaults, apparently. That's fine. Weapon. We're going to be using the sword for some animation related stuff anyway. So there we have the sword. Well, the mouse should be captured by the viewport window. So when I press one of, like this, like right now, I should be able to, okay, I don't know. So when I click off one of these things, it doesn't just make the mouse cursor disappear. The mouse input is now locked to this view. And as such, maybe I just need to left click once, right click once. Okay, just like. I don't know if Twitch is still going. I don't think it is. Not that I particularly care much about that. I mostly care about the fact that YouTube is down. It's not great. Let's try to wait around for a bit. Yeah, no data, no shit, I know. Are we back up? I think we're back up. We're back up. Okay, cool. So, what I was saying is I have figured out what the issue is now. The issue is that this thing auto-possesses. So if we go to auto, or just look for possess, auto-possesses player is disabled. That doesn't make sense because I can definitely control this guy. So something isn't adding up here, still. Should I have done this before I started this stream? Probably, yeah. I can control this guy. What do you mean he's not being auto-possessed? That that's not how any of this shit works. Okay, again, I'm not entirely sure what's going wrong there, but I will troubleshoot that later because that doesn't really impact what we're going to be doing here today. And we have, I might as well check here actually. Disable that as well. And then maybe the issue is with the game mode, but I don't know where I put the game mode blueprint, so it's right there. Let's see, the default pawn is set to none, so that can't be it either. So I have no idea what's going on, but again, we're not going to be worrying about that right now. We're going to be doing here some animation, because that is what we're actually here to do. So let's set this to sort, not sort base, we want the blueprint version. We'll compile and actually save that. And then we're going to be using you in an animation. Let's get started with the boss fight animation, because I have some ideas to what I want to do with that. And the intro animation is going to take quite a bit more in terms of like visual effects and stuff like that. Now it's gotta have something to do with the fact that I'm not spawning in the character anymore. But I'm a little bit confused as to like how this whole thing's getting possessed. Well, it has to be something to do with my level blueprint that is possessing this thing, right? That must be it. Now that I think about it, because somewhere in here we not on level load, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Somewhere in here, like we spawn this thing in and then we possess it through here. So no, that does make that does make sense. The only issue then is after we possess it, we then set input mode to game only, maybe? Let's give that a shot. And we should do that with let's see, possess. If we get player controller, that might be something to do with it, but probably not. Yeah, and it's still fucking up. Again, I don't care. I keep getting distracted. We're here for animation, not for this bullshit. It started doing this when I changed the thing from spawning in to using a reference to an object that already existed, so it has something to do with that. I just don't know what it has to do with that. So I'm going to have to look into that at some point. That is not right now. Let's go into the tutorial. And at some point we're going to need to make this look a little bit better as well. Cinematics, we want to do a level sequence, and we'll call this boss Night Boss Defeated. And we'll open that up. And we'll... No, I don't want to animate that blocking volume. Are you insane? Of course I don't want to do that. Just for convenience sake, what I'm going to do is... Why does this thing have a camera? Oh, because all the enemies have a camera, because I'm an idiot. That makes sense. We're just going to copy over this transform for now, and we're going to paste that transform so we actually have our character to work with here. Now, what we're going to actually do, let's turn this guy around a little bit, and then we also want to move him around a little bit. We just want to have these guys like hit each other a couple of times, and while they're doing that, stumbling back onto this area where the player will do one final attack to defeat this armored knight, and then it will go back into its normal like resting pose that it starts the battle off with as well. That's the idea anyway. So let's actually get you started somewhere more along the lines of over here, and also stop snapping the rotation. And then we also do that over here. So, okay. I'm going to try to be a little bit... Where the fuck is my character? Where did I put him? Did I put him under the ground? I think I might have put him under the ground. Hold on, one moment. Let's get him back here. Yeah, I definitely used the wrong handles there. So that's a little bit better. I don't want to do any unnecessary animation, so I'm going to first do a rough block out of this. That meaning just the character positions. Then I'm going to do the first draft of the cameras, and then we'll do the actual like limb movements and all the sword swinging, and then we'll add some particle effects eventually. That seems to be the most efficient way of doing things. That way I don't have to animate the legs when the legs are not in frame, or the left arm when only the right arm is in frame, and so on and so forth. There's just general like animation stuff. But it is really tempting to like first animate out the entire scene with your characters and then start adding in cameras, but that is a waste of your goddamn time, so don't actually do that. First, let's add the properties that we want to animate, and for now that is going to be both of these characters transform. We want to animate. Also for the test night, did I not add that? Apparently I did not add that. Add keyframes for both of those. Frame 0. Auto keying is set to on. That's this one, I think. Yes. Our timeline is set to 30 FPS. So if we do something a little bit like this, we can say our third-person character. The one thing that I don't... What the fuck? I don't know why it keeps freaking out like that. It's a little bit weird. Oh, I've got surface snapping on, don't I? I do. That makes sense. So what I don't know is if this allows me to like just ignore gravity. I think it probably does, but I don't know for sure. I guess we'll find out when we play this back in real time. I can always just make an event that like disables gravity for a bit as we do this. So we make you dash towards the enemy, make you hit him. If I need to run any code through for this event, like turning off the gravity, for instance, that is where things like the sequence director blueprints come in. Yeah, you hit him, which makes you step back a little bit. So we step back. Then you swing real quick, which I might be able to just use a FBX animation for that. Might not have to remake that animation. Would be great. Hold on, no, that needs to go the other direction. So what we do is swing, knock back, swing, knock back again, but this time for the player, which ends up back on the ground for like a second. Then we don't mess this up, please. Then we dash back towards you, do another swing. So somewhere along these lines. We push you back to the point where you start stepping up on these edges. That's a rough position. And we'll probably keep the camera on you there for a while. Let's move this maybe a little bit more there. Again, this is rough positioning. We'll probably need to fine-tune and refine this at some point in the near future. Could you please, thank you, go to the ground? A very good morning to you as well. At least for you, it seems to be morning. For me, very much is not morning. Let's keep our character maybe also for now moving toward the night. Then we just move the knight backwards. And then let's what I kind of want to do is one of those very cliche, but I really like them, moves where the character like does his move, appears behind the character that they fight, and then the other character is like, "Oh, you defeated me. I am super dead now." So we do some of that, and this is gonna look goofy, right? Just doing it like that. But again, rough blockouts. Rough blockouts first, then we move on. I'm not like a professional animator, so I don't know how well this is gonna work out for me in the end. But I at least know how to work efficiently. Now we can wait like a second here. And then what we do is we make the character here turn back around and get back into, and we can probably copy its pose. Wait, why are you not on the ground? That might be a problem. We can probably copy its pose from the other animation, so we don't have to worry about recreating that. We might have to change up some keyframes and stuff, but for the most part we should be able to get that part of the animation and just reverse it and maybe be fine. That's the general idea anyway. So, and then from there there's a little bit of a animation still, so let's say that in total this is going to be like 10 to 15 seconds. I just want to get opinions on what exactly. Also, I'm not going to be looking at anything right now, but I'm happy to give opinions on stuff later. But again, not exactly right now because I'm getting distracted in other this. And we'll figure out what we do with the player character in a moment after that. But for now, let's start adding in the first block out for the cameras that we're going to be using. Which we can easily do. Actually, first and foremost, let's set our level that we're working into this boss level, so it only loads in those cameras. Doesn't really matter. I would only load those cameras in when we're in this level. And then we should be able to start, create new camera and set it to current camera cuts. So what we probably want to start with is a shot that's a little something like this. And definitely animate its transform, right? It automatically adds a transform. What the? Where did my player go? Okay, there we are. Something that's not even close to the... Something fucky happened there and I'm not entirely sure what. I think the knight moved for some reason. Did it? Or did my camera just move? Probably just my camera that's moved, right? Yeah, I think it was. No, they are closer together again now. Okay, so it definitely was the knight that moved. So we do that. We play a slashing animation. We make a new camera cut here. I said we make a new camera cut here, so please do. Because what we want is we want a shot of those feet going up there. No, what? Fuck me. Something weird happened. I'm not entirely... There we go, I want to pilot you. Pilots. Not pivot, pilot. It's been a long day. also an option somewhere. Engine version is 5.3.2, I believe. So there is an option somewhere in here in the viewport settings to have like cinematic viewport. But again, it's been a while since I've done this, so cinematic viewport. There we go. Takes a moment to load it. That's that ain't it. Oh, that's because we don't have any camera cut set up. So if we do this now, this should lock viewport to camera cuts. Yeah, okay, so that's what we want. Then we can say, okay, we do our swish, swash, swash thing. Attack him. Then add a camera cut here. We move him back against the first step, which he then uses to... Is there a shortcut for like cutting the camera here? Because that would be fantastic if that was a thing, because I don't like having to do this every... Exactly, that is the reason why I don't like to do that. Oh, actually, what I think I can just do, hold on, I can just add a new camera again. And set that as the current camera cuts. And that should automatically cut my thing. It's just moving these characters around for no fucking reason, and I don't really understand why. It's making this really, really tough to animate. So, you swing the fuck with your sword here. So we have this. I mean, it's not my bad that Unreal is being a bit of a bitch. They should be... Okay, that then is my bad. We do that again, together with a swing. For like a very quick shot, because then what we'll do is again make a new camera. There's gonna be a lot of cameras in this cutscene, okay? You better fucking get used to that. Set that camera as the new one, and then we can just pretend like this isn't happening. Use this again. And then this one will actually move with. So that's camera actor 4. We'll set a keyframe on that one. And obviously that needs to glitch everything the fuck out again, because that's just kind of what happens here. Make that lag behind a little bit. Also, that why are you not on the ground? You on this keyframe should be on the ground. I don't know why you're not. And then we should have the same value on that keyframe. Then what do? I think he jumps back in right away, so we can keep this camera around a little longer. So what we do is we do a little one of these. So we have that. Okay, that might be a little too fast, so we just remove that keyframe, right? I think that'll make it look better. Move and turn around, which then changes into... Why are you all the way over there already? That's not how any of this works. We'll have to do a little work on the curve for that transform. Just drinking water. Okay, so now we're back to this, and my god, the positioning of these characters is really fucking me up. The fact that they keep moving about. And I don't really know why that is. Maybe I should not be animating their actual position. Maybe I should be animating their root position with the control rig instead. Maybe that makes a little bit more sense to do it that way. It's a little too late for that now. I suppose I could still change this, but I don't really feel like doing that. So I suppose let's stop piloting this for a second and go back to you, because of course everything starts to fuck up again. Come on, get into your positions. Thank you very much. We want you to be much more over there. Once play from the start, please. We'll do that in a moment. Once all the cameras are in place, because I need to like check whether or not everything looks good that way. But we need to put everything in place first. I mean, it's not going to help with this issue. This is just weird, where it keeps trying to reset them to their original positions, I believe. I think that is the issue that we're having. Anyway, after we hit him in the face one more time here, he steps back again. And we imply with sound that we hit him a couple more times, because that saves me having to animate more stuff, which is always just a good thing to do. Adding a new camera cut once again, and then in here we change to that camera angle, which can be for now relatively static, so we move back, move back, move back. Actually, let's give him collapse all of these actors first and foremost. This one that we're working with now. Like here he probably starts to put his feet on the stairs, and then we can follow him up a little bit with a slight anticipation to the movements. And definitely he does not need to be that high up, but we'll figure that out. So how does that look? It's not too bad, I suppose. Okay, again, you need to be lower down. And then here you need to be lower down as well. Why? I'm getting real fucking tired of this shit already. Okay, that's a decent start. Again, we'll worry about the curves on the movement here later. Oh, and then you also are up too high here for some fucking reason. But here it kind of makes sense because this guy's in the way. Yeah, definitely should have just been using the control rigs to move around that root motion, because this is absolutely a nightmare. And honestly, I might be better off still going back and doing that. This one we can just copy over, luckily. So this one should be fine. And this one already got fixed, right? No, he's still floating in fucking the air. And even lowering him down doesn't actually lower him down all the way, which is what's so confusing to me. So in a moment, when everything teleports all over the fucking place again, he's going to be underground. That's what's going to happen. We can agree on that, right? That's definitely what's happening here, like 100%. Also, I accidentally have been animating this camera, which I don't think I meant to do. So let's take another look at the camera thing here. Okay. We go up, we go up, we go up. And then we change camera angles again. Yeah, I do have auto keying on. So that's not the issue regarding the things teleporting around, but that did make a lot of keyframes just now when when I, let's see, what do we do here? I think what we do is keep on this side because that's cinematic rules. And then we set this to I don't know, we wait a little bit with this cut until we are over here. And actually, we don't want to immediately move through him. We want to have a bit of an anticipation move there. Just ignore them flickering about. We'll be fine. Like something, a little something like this. Probably I want them a little bit more face on. That'll do for now. So we have that anticipation movement, which for some reason moves him around. Which really shouldn't do, but sure, fine. We'll look at that in a moment. And then we have this very quick movement here, which has to be way quicker. So we can put in a new camera here and cut to that camera, and that should more or less look like he like whoops through him. And for this one we can actually maybe like do a slightly wider lens. Maybe. I think that would be a pretty decent start on this guy, because this is a very zoomed in lens. Everything has had a very zoomed in lens so far. So let's go in here and go to the camera settings somewhere around here. We have our focal length at 35. Let's set that to 22. How did you make the character animations? Did you use modeling software or did you do it in Unreal Engine? The animations for both of these characters have been made in Unreal Engine. But sometimes I make animations in Blender, sometimes I make them in Unreal. Kind of depends on what I feel like that day. Both are viable options. Sometimes it's easier to set up things in Unreal, sometimes it's easier to set things up in Blender. And sometimes Unreal just fucking teleports your characters around in the middle of cinematic because it just likes to do that, apparently. So let's get a little feel of everything going on from the start. We have hit, back, hit, hit, back, 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 mega hits, and we don't make a cut there. Okay. That's definitely a little on the fast side, but we'll worry about timing in a moment. This needs to be camera 7. And it needs to be 1 frame later because that doesn't look that good. So we have, yep. Then he's suddenly on the other side. Matter of fact, let's just do that instantaneously. So we have from there to there. And I believe that, okay, we need to set the other side to a constant as well. So now it instantly updates and doesn't interpolate between those two keyframes. That's what we want. If you want to make characters, consider Paragon. You mean like the Unreal Marketplace project? Like the game characters? Because... or is there like a software called Paragon that also does things? Because it's nice for... I use them for some tutorials. It's nice to have some assets that you can easily get access to play around with things. But I'm not going to be using Paragon characters for my game. For pretty obvious reasons. Okay, let's take another look at this. We move, we move, we move, we move, we move a lot, we do a lot of movement. Like, this entire thing needs to be slowed down significantly at points. Obviously. Because this doesn't leave a lot of room for movement. We give him a moment to fall to his knee. Don't know what the fuck is going on with that keyframe. That should be good. And then when he starts to... so he falls down to his knee. Then we change the camera angle to make him get back up. Just because that makes things easier on me. That is honestly the reason. Change to that camera angle. This is a pretty like approximate camera angle that we're going to be using here. Probably want him from a down perspective. Hello, why are you not moving? There we go. So he gets back up. and then we got to a camera perspective from the front again. Altogether only 9 shots. That seems actually not too bad. And we'll use a slightly wider camera angle for that again. So we won't go back here. Focal length, set that to 22 for this as well. And try to make this decently centered. And then I do want to add on some other stuff at the end of the cutscene, because this door that's behind there is going to be removed, and the cutscene is going to be the transition from this area to the next area. So what we'll do is at this point we load in the next area, and then when that's loaded in we play the next part of the cutscene, which takes place in that other area. Which does mean that it's impossible to then get back to this area again, but that's pretty standard in game tutorials. So we do that. And then we... Actually, for the turning around, I think it might be better if we keep the camera to his face as well. So we do that, and for now let's just keep the one camera here. Okay, that's the basic idea. Can we, is the question now, put these cameras in a different order, or these objects all? So we have the actual characters up top. We can. Fantastic. So you would recommend to start making animations in Unreal Engine or Blender. I'm a bit more, bit familiar, but pretty new to this. I personally like the rigging features in Unreal better, because making a rig, like a control rig in Unreal, is very much like just using Blueprint to set up the constraints and stuff. Blender doesn't really, like, in Blender the constraints are more like the modifiers and feel a lot more like that. In the end, it accomplishes the same thing and it works more or less the same way. It's just you set them up as a modifier stack, and in Unreal you set them up as a blueprint, saying this controller controls this bone with IK or with forward kinematics or whatever, and you make a flowchart like you would for a blueprint, which to me makes a lot more sense. It also has support for making different spaces. So the way you have like global space and local space, you can also make new spaces in Unreal. You probably can do this in Blender as well, I just don't know how. But you can make new spaces, so saying relative to like this controller or this bone space, I want to move it in a certain way. And you can do very like fancy and cool stuff with that, which is kind of nice. The upside to animating things inside Unreal itself is that if you do that, you also immediately have the entire control rig set up for that character in Unreal, which you can then use in your animation blueprints to do things like IK movement for the limbs. If you're doing things like, for instance, a lot of games, when you have stairs like this, the hitbox will actually look like a slope, and the character's feet will be pulled down through the collision to the actual stairs for the more complex collision. So it looks like it's still walking up there, but the collision itself is a lot smoother. And for that you use inverse kinematics like in real time in Engine, and you already have that set up if you have a control rig. So that is why I like it in Unreal generally, but either or works, honestly. Now, We actually need to start adding in some animations, I think, because this block out, like, it is a thing. But it is a thing that can definitely use some improvement. So let's add in a little bit more room here to work with, maybe. I don't know. Do we need that? Maybe we need that. Third person character. We can add in a animation. Let's just try first doing this with just sequence animations, because that's going to make my life a lot easier. So we want to say our like sword attack 1, for instance, right? It'll do that. And we can pull this in a little bit so we already have this, and then oh, that's definitely not what I wanted to do. Let's see. This is the transform for my character, so we only want to wait, is this the transform for my character? Because it's moving the camera when I move this, making me a little worried. So definitely should not be doing that. Okay, so what we do is we... Can we? The first time I'm using the sequence animations in this way, so I need to figure this out like live. Can we like cut this in any way? Or like freeze it for a certain amount of time? This doesn't seem to be the section that I need. Paste, curve channels, split section. If I just pull this out, it goes back to that previous pose. Okay, so then I'm going to edit, split section, and can I like freeze frame this section? At this point I'm just like my video like editing brain, like my Premiere Pro brain is coming out and like, this is how I do things in Premiere Pro. Can I please, for the love of God, do something similar here? Reduce keys, that's definitely not what I want. Locked? No. Let's see in Google if I can find something real quick. Unreal level sequence freeze frame animation. Yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. Thank you very much already.
Hey,
a fucking 5-minute video for probably just showing where like one button is, I have to imagine. Trim section, split section. Yes, I found that already. Is he literally just going to make an animation that's 1 frame long and repeat that? Because if he's about to do that, that would be fucking insane. Come on, there's gotta be a way to freeze an animation sequence in the sequencer, right? If you can't do that, that is... like, that would be a huge flaw. Can I? This might be an interesting way to do it. Wait, what did I just do? I just did something by double clicking and I just zoomed in. Okay. Can I like, make this into a pose and use a pose? Even just like drag this out. What happens if I drag this out? Does it? Yeah, just place the next frame. It doesn't. I can lower the play rate. I can do that. That is a thing that can be done. Right somewhere here's a play rate. So if I just set that to 0, does that freeze it? Nope. No, it does not. Because that would altogether make too much sense. Why would you make something that makes sense? Can't be having that. I can reverse it. I swear to God, of 0.1. Why does it disappear when I set it to 0.1? It became 0 frames long. I mean, that kind of works. It looks goofy as all hell. Especially since I need to keep this up quite a little bit longer. Until we're at least like over here. And that still doesn't really... Oh, it's blending between the two. Yeah, that still doesn't really work, does it? But that might be to do with another issue here. Hold on. So if I pull you all the way to the side, I might have been better off just hand animating a new custom animation for this at this point, and I probably should. I'm being 100% honest with you. But at this point, I don't really care. What happens if I make this longer than it is? It just replays it again. Okay. We can probably cut away from this earlier, right? So we hit him and then immediately cut away. You could have started with backward solving. Life might have been easier. No, it would not have been, because I would have had to set up the backward solve for that. I do have the actual animation info on this, but you can't. I don't think you can. Maybe you can. Hold on. That is actually a good question. Can you add a level sequence into another level sequence? I don't think you can. That would have been nice if you can do that, but I don't think you can do that. So no. For the whole freeze frame thing, having the individual keyframes here would have been a whole lot easier. I do agree. But we can just make some additive animations on top of this to add some extra flair to those little freeze framed moments. And that'll work out fine. Probably... which camera is this? It's got to be this one, right? So we can just make that one move a little faster. You can even see a little weirdness going on there. Okay, so this we actually have to start animating new stuff for. So let's add a control rig animation layer. Asset based control rig, very very please. And that will be a additive. Oh, but if we're doing that, I hate this because can we just remove this one and only have the additive one? Why is it suddenly T-posing? So if I remove this, it won't be T-posing anymore, right? Yeah. This is why I hate the control rig thing. It's because just adding an additive layer on top of pre-existing animations actually is an issue now that I think about it. So maybe we don't want to do this and we do want to just custom animate the entire fucking thing. Oh, hold on. Do I need to make a separate camera animation sequence, level sequence, template sequence, movie animation that can instance multiple times inside a level sequence? Maybe it's that. Oh, yeah. So maybe I should have made my other animations in a template sequence, and those I can then import into a level sequence. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. So I guess we'll just do this the manual way because that's going to be an issue at some point or another. So remove this animation. It's going to look better anyway. It's going to be more work, but we'll be fine. So the base layer we don't actually want to do anything with because I hate the fact that it Nope. I hate the fact that it makes an absolute layer first, and then we have to manually add an additive layer. It's fucking stupid. And we're going to also go back to our default viewport. Can we please not go back to 0, 0, 0 every single time we do that? Because that's really annoying. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start off making a keyframe of everything, and then do I have the IK? No. I'm still working on a I have a bool somewhere in here. Maybe that's only in the top layer. It's probably only in the top layer, isn't it? I have a bool in here somewhere that toggles between using the forward and the backwards kinematics, or the forwards and the inverse kinematics rather. It doesn't work very well though, so I need to figure out a good way of making a rig that can easily switch between the two. I still haven't really figured that out. And at this point, I also don't really know. Oh, there we go. So left arm IK should be off. Let's make a keyframe out of that just so we're sure that that happens. No, hold on. That should be on. Am I just moving the wrong control points? I'm moving the wrong control points. That's the issue. Let's set my camera speed to something lower as well. I need to be moving this. That's the issue, right? There we go. Maybe I want to do this in unlit mode. Well, we'll figure it out eventually, I'm sure. again, there's a lot of things that I am decent at. Animation is not necessarily one of them. I get by with animation, but I am by no means good at animation. So I'm probably going to come back to this cutscene about a billion different times and change things about until I am somewhat less unhappy with it. Okay, so I have a keyframe for that. What the fuck am I doing? So what we do is we make you go down through your knees. Leaning forward. Taking those hand IK controls with you. Pretty please. Lowering that arm. Yeah, so now you're through the floor again, and I don't really know why. But I suppose it's not that difficult to fix in this situation. Just want to go back here, and there we go. And that then also allows me to make you sink through your knees significantly more. And move this leg forward a little bit. Then he jumps the fuck off. And let's actually go back into our cinematic viewport for now so that we know that we're actually animating the things that we care about. And for now, it is the entire body that we do care about. So hold on, can we go into default and then now that only works in cinematic, does it? No, it doesn't. We can just do it like that. Okay, that's cool. It's good to know. So we can turn all this around, and this is the reason why we don't want to actually be locked to the viewport for this. This is the reason that I prefer sword swings and stuff to be used with forward kinematics, because like the whole concept of fighting moves is using your body mechanics in an efficient manner, and that is mostly using the rotation of your body and the rotation of your limbs, and that is what forward kinematics is. But for some parts you want inverse kinematics, and I really just need a rig that does both of them without fucking up, is really the issue here. So you're doing it with control rig is easier, but you should have a good one for that. I mean, this is a control rig, so I'm not entirely sure what you're what you mean there. It's just again, my control rig, I can't get both forward and inverse kinematic to work at the same time. And with at the same time, I mean, it's fine to have a toggle, but what I want is for these forward kinematics to follow the limb when I'm using inverse kinematics and the other way around, and I haven't been able to. Maybe at some point I will. I haven't been able to really figure that out properly yet, so that is the main issue here for me. And then there's also the issue of the fact that I can't see what the fuck I'm doing because it's very dark in this room. Let's move the control points with this as well. I don't know why there's a keyframe for that there. And then through this movement we wind up even more. So what we do is rotation, just lots of rotation. And then we'll figure out the exact path for the hand IK through like using curves a little bit later, but for now it's just going to be straight lines, and that's kind of just gonna be it. And we'll just have to deal with that. Where the fuck? Oh, there it is. No, you definitely need to be over there. Something a little like that. And then also rotate the head a little bit more. I can rotate it down ever so slightly, that's fine. Now when we get close to here, how much time do we have? It's plenty. We can swing through. So we turn everything back the other way. Which, if this was forward kinematics, it would just make the sword swing, because that's how forward kinematics works. But I am an idiot. So, should I have just done this with forward kinematics? Yes, I should have. Is there going to be any reason in this entire cutscene that I would prefer inverse? No, actually. So maybe what we'll do is... Yeah, what I'll do is these IK controls I'm actually going to just entirely remove. And what we're going to do is we're going to animate this entirely with forward kinematics. Just makes more sense. So we go back here. Disable these two. Have you tried to animate? I don't know what you mean. Is that an A or an L? I'm assuming that says ALS character. I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to. Anyway, so with this, it should be a lot easier to just say, hey, rotate that fucking arm around. And just ignore the inverse kinematics. And I think, honestly, for the arms, I might just get rid of the inverse kinematics altogether. Just use the inverse kinematics for the legs, and then have forward kinematics for the arms, because I don't think there's any point in the game that I can foresee right now that really requires IK for the arms, and it just gives me a headache, frankly. So well, that's kind of the whole reason. But that's reason enough for me. So we do that. Move you around a little like that. A little like that. See, that doesn't that just look a lot more natural already? Advanced locomotion version for character. No ID. Never heard of it. So, no. So we do that. Then we move forward a lot. At which point we keep winding up. And then here we rotate the fuck around. And while we do that, we also extend the arm again. And that like thoroughly makes it through him very, very much. So okay. That's a start. let's save. Just because if anything crashes right now, I don't want to lose that. Still. Concurrent viewers, 1. Okay, noted. People don't like animation live streams. Won't do that again in the future. I'll just do this with a podcast in the background. Fine. Cool. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's not a very sexy workflow, so... Oh, it says 1, but it is actually 3. That's a little bit better. Let's give this one... Okay. And then where do we actually cut? We cut there. So when we cut, it should already... It should be moving on the cut. Okay, let's add in our control rig from assets. We'll add in some other stuff later with like its idle. Actually, I don't think in the boss fight itself it uses the idle animation at all, does it? So we can finally use the idle animation. That's fantastic. We'll keep you T-posing for now. I don't really care. We'll add another additive because again I don't like this whole... It starts with the absolute one. And we really only need you to do one thing, and that is... Well, that's actually a very good question. How are we going to do this? Oh, I'm very sorry about that. I guess we'll just start messing about and we'll see how we end up fixing things. If we run into any issues, because didn't I fucking say it? We moved everything down and now everything is in the floor. Fucking warned you about this. Now we're here. It's happening. Fantastic. It's the root motion one, right? We can't move the root motion. That, again, great. Love that. This should probably be keyframed on the absolute one, actually. And then what we start doing is we take this one. Pull it up. Then we pull this one back. This is going to create sliding. It's going to create such bad sliding. It's not a great way of doing things, I don't think. But we'll try. Oh, we actually, like, we should move. Okay. ID number 2. We do this. Control Z a couple of times. If nothing else, the fact that I'm live streaming this means that I don't give up out of frustration of things not going the way I expected them to. So I suppose that's a good thing. So this one moves up a little, while we move this one forward also slightly, and the body as a whole goes down. So that looks a little something like that. Then when this moves even further back, no, this probably needs to be, yeah, this step ends there. Because otherwise the legs are just simply not long enough. This already is creating some sliding, so maybe we should that's actually not too bad. Hold on, where is the actual transform animation on this guy? Transform, there we go. Let's just make him stay there for like a second. Don't need to copy that over. So what we do is, okay, why are you sliding there? That makes no fucking sense. Probably can just do that with a constant keyframe, right? There we go. We're getting somewhere. I don't know if we're getting anywhere good, but we're getting somewhere. And in that time where we do that, we make them have a little bit more like downward impact still. So we boom. And then for this, don't lose the control in the ground. Pull them up like that. Boom. Oh, we probably... Okay. I mean, Unreal has about 10 billion different features. So no, I don't know about everything. No. Okay, yeah, so this ain't it. Gonna be real with you, this is not how we do this. At least not for this character. We'll see for the player character if that's how we keep doing this, but this is very much not how we do this. This is a really annoying way to deal with shit. We'll just use this instead. I am confusing myself so much. Just get rid of the transform here altogether. What we'll do is do that. Okay, that makes sense. And then that's the first step back, so it doesn't actually change its origin position. Then on this one is where we start changing its root position. So there we do something a little bit like this. And the way we deal with that is with hopes and dreams. Honestly. Where did I put that controller? There we go. Okay, that's back. Actually, that doesn't need to go back that far. I'm going to use an easy reference point here. Is this thing just needs to keep its like heel part of the foot up against that that stair step. If we can keep that going, that should... A little bit of sliding is fine. And we can make this work with a curve, right? So we can say bam, and there it should go through its knees again a little bit, maybe even bend back ever so slightly. Again, we're doing this in stages. So, yes, we're actually animating the character now, but it's still going to probably end up being a relatively rough kind of animation. Because again, I'm not exactly an animator, so... Bam, bam, bam. At what point do we cut to a new shot? Like, how much time do we have? We are already in the new shot at this point. Okay, that's not great. Though I suppose what we can just do is we can just take all of this, and this is not Blender, so that's not how that works. Never mind. Let's just keep animating this, and then we'll worry about timings later. If he's going downstairs, his body should be leaning towards the front when he's full. No, he's not going downstairs. He's going upstairs, and he's getting hit upstairs. So his body is recoiling away from where he's getting hit. So that's not exactly what's going on here. But you're right. If you're going downstairs, that does make a lot more sense. Maybe even ever so slightly more back, just as like a feel. And then one more step back. So we see him getting up at the top step, and honestly we might cut out that last step. I'm not entirely sure yet. Okay. So this is the... If I move this around, we can... Yeah, okay. Then my question becomes, can I... That's blending. That's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to trim this thing. So This should just trim, right? Not resize or rescale in time. But I do want to now rescale this in time. So can I? Is the question. Properties. Maybe if I like hold down control when I do it. That seems to be doing something. Okay, that's exactly how that works apparently. That's fine. Cool. Actually it's been almost 2 hours, so remember when I said we were going to make 3 cutscenes today? Yeah, that's definitely not happening. There's no chance in hell that we're getting that far. Let's see how our camera work looks here, because I don't think that we necessarily... We have that and then... Okay, so we do have quite a bit more time here. To play around with. Until... Let's say around there. Still fucking... Oh, that's way too fast. That is way too fucking fast. There's no way that... No. Okay, so what we'll do is step 1 actually looks kind of decent. Then what we'll do with step 2 instead. Okay, I've got an ID. Hold on. I didn't delete shit. Step 2 will just immediately go up to this height up here. And then can we please like unlink this? Thank you very much. Okay, that's a little too much. I mean, you were watching at 144p before, so I'm going to assume that your internet connection is just not that stable. And that is the issue with disappearing messages. Also, let's keep it English, please. Yeah, I have no idea what all that means, so what we're going to do is we're going to time out that user. No idea why you think it's a good idea to show up in a stream where everybody's talking English, and I don't even know what language that was. But just in case it is something bad, I'm gonna get rid of it. Hold on now. That's one step up too high. That makes sense then. So what we'll do... I've used Cascadeur for animation. I don't like it. I really don't like it. It doesn't actually help all that much if you don't use their I don't know what they call it, but like their AI enhanced animation rig, which only specifically works on very generic humanoid characters. So for this knight, for instance, it would work. Except the fact that this knight is still lacking a couple of bones. Like, he doesn't have a bone in his toes here. And just the fact that he doesn't have any specific toe bones, that his entire foot is done through one bone, means that it can't generate a proper, at least from what I have tested, means that it can't generate a proper AI rig, which means that you're just using their normal posing features, which still are decently nice, but at that point I don't think the trade-off for me is worth it. And of all my characters in my game that I rig and animate, none of them fall within the bounds of what they need to look like in order for it to work with that software, I'm afraid. So I can see why it's cool, and it is really, really nice that these kind of like fluid, smooth animations are now so achievable for a lot of people. It's just for me, specifically, it is very limited in where it can actually help you. And with those things, hold the fuck on. That's not how we do anything. We go back, but this one doesn't slide. We don't want this one to slide anymore. I also don't like the fact that you can get keyframes between frames with the Unreal Sequence Animator. It's not ideal, like, at all. Don't love that. Like, actually hate that quite a bit. Because you get stuff like this. Why is that still moving? This is the left foot control, right? That definitely should not be moving like that. We have that, and then... oh, hold on, no, that should be moving like that. Never mind, I'm just an idiot. This one should stay... no. This one should... no, god damn it. This one should stay where it is. Or we'll just do it like this. Fine, that works too. Except I don't actually know where... okay, it's on that step. So we go to that keyframe, which is not on an actual frame, because that would altogether just be too user-friendly. I get why they do that, by the way, so it's non-destructive when you like resize the timing of an animation. It doesn't calculate to the exact frame. That makes sense. It still really annoys me. Okay, that might be a little scrunched up on the knee there. So we can move that like forward a little and then up a little more, not too much. That's just about doing it. Yeah, the timing on that is just going to need to improve a lot. I'm afraid that what we actually have accomplished so far today is just me messing about and figuring out that I'm going to need to redo a bunch of this stuff. So we're not actually making a lot of progress here. Other than the fact that we're just having fun and we're hanging out and we're doing good stuff. But aside from all that, yeah, we're kind of fucked. Not gonna lie. This looks a little better at least, but this just needs more time. You know what? I have decided. I like animation in Blender better than in Unreal. This kind of stuff I do need to make in Unreal, don't get me wrong. But the fact that like moving around keyframes is just so much more intuitive in Blender, and that might just be because I'm used to working in After Effects, and Blender is just like that, but better. But Unreal, I don't know, the fact that like the keyframe snapping works in a different weird way, and I don't know, don't like it. So let's just move these shots up a little bit, and we'll see about the timing of those shots. But the most important part for me here is that this shot needs to be significantly longer. Just for this to make any sort of sense in timing. It's one. Okay, also it's left foot, then left foot again, then right foot. Also doesn't make sense. So need to do left foot, then right foot, then left foot again. So we need to redo this entire thing. Yeah, no, that's not what I mean. What I mean is the fact that it doesn't snap to actual frames when you like rescale and retime something like this. When the keyframes move around, they get placed in between actual frames of your timeline. And then when you go to a new frame and you do something, you get like this double keyframe shenanigans, which is just horrible because it doesn't actually update that last keyframe. It makes a new keyframe on the exact frame. So that is like the actual worst. There might be a way to disable that or to change that or whatever, but this should not be default behavior, in my opinion. So that's left foot. The way around that is just to use next keyframe and previous keyframe here, which that kind of works, but not really. So this goes up to this step then. And here we have another instance of it. I put in a keyframe on a non-existing frame. Because that's just how Unreal fucks with this stuff. I don't like it. Totally ignored me saying... What now? ASL? ASL v4. I don't fucking know what you're talking about. we talked about the fact that I don't know what it is. And if I don't know what it is, I can't really like comment on it anymore. So I don't know really what you expect me to say about it, to be honest with you. Yeah, Advanced Locomotion v4, I get it that much. But that still doesn't really, like... Okay, what about it? I don't know anything about it, because I've never heard of it before. Well, it rings a bell, but not much more than that. I don't really know anything about it. It's still very fucked. Okay, let's just fuck off with all this and restart. Because this is kind of the issue, right? If you try to salvage something that's fucked, you're going to waste more time than just restarting. It's on the marketplace. It's a free template for making movement feel really good. It's free, but a start line. I mean, I'll take a look at it, but not right now. Okay, so first we move this foot back, right? So that's the first one. That gets you... I'm just going to pull this one a little further as well. That's the first one. That gets an off balance. Bam. Back you go. Then the next one, like we take a few frames to have a little bit extra like impact going through there. Then a few frames of nothing. And then the next one is this foot being forced all the way up there. I think you could transfer templates into existing project, but I'm not sure. Personally, haven't used it much since I'm not doing anything that would our movement to. So yeah, if it's about animation, like what I'm doing right now, like cutscene animation, if it would help with that, that would be very interesting. If it is about anything to do with like gameplay animations, I thoroughly agree with that perspective of if it's going to like smooth out and interpolate movement a lot, I hate that. I really don't like that. Like for a lot of like movement and locomotion and especially like jumping action based animations, I don't want any smoothing at all. It's fine if that like has a hard cut to a different animation, especially like in movement. It's not really going to bother, at least me, I'm assuming a lot of people, it's not really going to bother you. And it makes things a lot more snappy and responsive. So if it is for that, I've just made up my mind. I don't like it. I'll still look at it to see if it is that, because if it's something else, obviously that could still be very valuable. And I'm very much interested in learning a little bit more about it. Oh, for fuck's sake. We need more real estate for these animations still. It's one. We'll do with that for now. I'll just make a keyframe for the entire fucking thing. Who cares? And then can we get all the way the fuck up there without it being too much of an issue? This is really annoying to control. Yeah, I think this is gonna be a bit of an issue. I'm gonna lie to you. Unless, maybe, if we do... not a huge fan of how scrunch up that lag becomes, but we'll see. Maybe if I just pull that up ever slightly, can get away with it. Yeah, in order for that to actually work, now what we'll do is we'll cheat a little bit, and we'll just make him step up on this step instead. You can get away with that a little bit better. And then during some camera cut, we'll actually like move him even further. I just kind of ignored the whole like root movement thing. I don't care. I have decided. Well, if you move the camera to a different angle, well, I need to revisit the camera now anyway. So we have the camera angle all this while. So let's just see what this looks like through the camera lens, because I haven't checked that yet. So we can do that, and we can set this to our cinematic viewport. So we have this. Okay, it's all very goofy. None of that makes a lot of sense. But like this kind of, aside from the fact that that's slight, but that's sliding a little bit is actually not too horrible. No, actually I don't like that, I've decided. Question is, why does that slide? That should just straight up remain in the same place, right? What we should have is we should have up until this moment it should remain there. Oh no, 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 no. You know what? I've got a better idea. It doesn't need to slide back there if it already was back there. Wait, why is it moving down? Because this is up too high already. Okay. Again, I'm not an animator. If it wasn't obvious already, I am not. Yeah, that still looks goofy as fuck. For the key snapping thing, if you reduce the frame containing keys, you should decrease the timeline, maybe? Those are certainly words. I'm not sure how related they are to the problem that I described. I'll Google it at some point. Okay, so this should just... Okay, no. That also doesn't make a lot of sense, so if we just something like that. That feels a bit better. That's way too fucking fast, of course. The first bit is too slow anyway, so we can... Like, what layer are we talking about here? It's this one. So we can probably, like, move this to over there. And these... No! And then these to there. See, Because if I just move them like this, they do. They don't only move like in whole frames. It's just when you do the retiming thing is when they fuck up. I believe what Homer is saying is making the timing shorter on the overall timeline. Like if you mean for me to do this has the exact same issue. So if that's the solution, I'm gonna have to disappoint you. Because that's not the solution. Unfortunately. I wish it were. But it's not. Okay, there's also kind of slow. Let's move this along to like there. Like playing with the timings in keyframes like this is fine, honestly. There's also honestly, we don't even. This kind of implies that the foot keeps moving after the camera cut, so that's honestly kind of fine. Yeah, when you do retiming, decrease the timeline of the sequence to match the decrement. Yeah, so the issue is that if I have like a sequence or a portion or whatever we want to call it here of this sequence and I retime it, the only way to make sure that it retimes and lands up on exact frames is to like make it exactly twice as fast, because otherwise if I make this, if there's 10 frames, bad example, if there's 12 frames in between two keyframes and I make it 10% faster, it has to put those keyframes 1.2 frames closer together. And instead of Unreal just automatically saying, okay, 1.2 frames, we'll round that to 1 frame and actually put the keyframe on an actual frame, it puts it in some kind of no man's land where it actually is 1.2 frames closer together. And that is what results into issues. So if I just like double the length, for instance, or double the speed, half the length, that would then end up with everything just landing properly on a whole frame. If I had 10 frames in between two things and I made it 10% faster, that would then also end up landing just on exactly frame number 9. But most of the time that's not how like you use this function, and this functionality becomes kind of worthless and actively infuriating because it doesn't snap those keyframes to whole frames after you retime something. And that is the issue. You do have animation curves for like Bezier and stuff, which I will be using in a moment probably. That's not related to this, but you do have those, yeah. Okay. I don't know where my... Oh, there we go. Okay, let's look at this from the start again. That definitely can use a little bit more flair to it. I'll be the first to admit that. You can't really... Maybe it's because I've got that actor selected. Hold on. Let's enable game view. Probably want to make this movement even like bigger. Why can't I move my camera? Oh, this is why. Well, actually not being able to move the camera here is fine. The only thing that I don't want is this overlay over here. But we'll be able to deal with it. Oh, there we go. So if we rotate this even more and I rotate the arm around as well, I really want to feel that swing. And we'll probably add some particle effects there for that swing as well. This is really annoying, animating this from this perspective without being able to zoom in. Hold on. There we go. That's what I wanted. You feel the swing a lot more there. Still cuts away a little too early though. But nothing we can't fix. Oh yeah, no. There is a curve editor. It's just like this button over here, and then if you press any like any layer in here, it shows you the animation curve for it. So let's, for instance, try to find. I wish it linked these two together. Though might be a way to do that. I don't know. But if we just go through this, like this is curve editor, so we can easily edit these things. What I like to do is setting these toggled weights immediately to on, and then also break those tangents apart, so we can easily do stuff like this. Because by default, the way these like tangents work in Unreal's curve editor is an absolute nightmare. If you don't enable those two specific things, you can't make these longer at all, and they're always going to be connected to each other, which the connectedness is generally not a bad thing. The fact that they are at a fixed length is fucking insane. Like, who wants that? Like, why is that default behavior? I don't understand. Like, at all. That's fucking stupid. There might be a reason that I just don't really get. Okay, that's actually, I actually like that so far. So we've done a lot less today so far than I would have hoped that we would do. I won't lie about that. And we're definitely going to also, because I've just decided that the third-person character, like the transform animations that we've been doing, we're going to be doing that through the control rig as well. So I will just delete all of those, because I honestly can't be bothered with all of the glitchiness and disappearing all over the place. I don't like it. So transform track is gonna go. We're gonna do this entirely through the control rig, because this one I think I can actually animate the root position of as well, which is fantastic. So we have the root position, which will be able to move around. To somewhere a little something like this. Control rig portion, which are decreasing when you're decreasing it. take like 200 frames total of a sequence and control the rig position to extend 100 frames, then you decrease it to 50, then you have to decrease the total number of frames in the sequence. Yeah, see, I understand that as a workaround, but that's still like that's still bothersome. That's still at that point. Like, why does this feature like to do this? Like, why does that even exist if that is the way you have to do it? Like, this whole retiming thing. Either when you are close to a pre-existing keyframe that's not an exact frame, it should just influence that pre-existing keyframe, or it should put keyframes always on exact frames. Like, there's no reason to have this behavior where keyframes can exist outside of an actual frame in like latent space somewhere. But also when you are close to one and you change a value, it creates a whole new keyframe which fucks up your entire animation. Like, it should do one of those two. The way it works right now is the worst of every single option. Or just not have this rescaling feature at all. Like, After Effects, as much as I hate it for not having this rescaling feature, doesn't have this rescaling feature, probably because of this reason. But then again, After Effects is a piece of shit software that's like built on a framework that's at this point probably like 25 years old, or at least 20. So they have an excuse. Unreal recently rewrote a huge portion of the engine, and this is one of those things that, like, I probably could have and probably should have done something about that. But again, there might be something that I'm overlooking, and there might be like a setting or a box somewhere that fixes this entire issue. That I just have not found yet. That is entirely a possibility, and as a matter of fact, maybe, probably, even likely. So, okay, we've got this whole thing sorted out now for the first movement. And anyway, we can also delete the transform out of this one. Let's re-enable this and see we have attack. I mean, it's still moving around. Why is it still moving around? In this case, it's because this additive layer ended. Is there anything we can do about that? Let's just extend this layer and keep adding new layers on top of it. That's probably not the recommended workflow, but that's the way I'm gonna do it. Okay, so for this, what we'll do is this one is simply going to go rotate around. Rotates kind of around. This should probably be set to local space. I realize now. Rotate around and rotate around. And let's just do this in the proper viewport view, because this is kind of hard to see what you're doing with do we see this other arm? We probably will, right? I'm gonna go ahead and assume that we will and just move this arm a little bit. And if we don't end up actually seeing it all that much, having it in a slightly better position makes sense to me. So we have that, and then like a couple of frames can go by, maybe. Maybe not. Let's actually just set a keyframe for this entire thing. And then we swing, which is 93 to 105. Let's go 105. Move this forward a bit. Rotate this back. Rotate that back. I really hope that this doesn't actually like generate damage events during the cutscene. I realize now that could be bad. Probably disable that collision during this cutscene. That seems like that seems like it would be a bad thing if it still generated collision events for like damage and stuff. This is gonna look so fucking goofy once we like finish this. And oh, that actually just straight up hits that enemy, or the player rather. So we don't really need to do too much about that. Huh, cool. When this entire thing is finished and I've animated everything, I'm going to, like, maybe just for TikTok or something, make a side-by-side where I have a render of the actual animation itself, and then just a zoomed out version of things tripping about and like just teleporting like that and doing weird stuff. I think that'll be fun. But for now, let's go back into this view. We attack. We see that. We have that attack backwards, and then when that overlaps is when we got to the next camera, which I didn't mean to delete that. So on moment of impact is maybe like 2 frames later, so we can see the animation starting on this frame. We need to animate the entire body anyway. I'm going to try one thing again here, and that is going to be, we're going to just try and play the knockback animation on this. It doesn't do that, because again, the moment you introduce a control rig, it overrides everything else that you're doing apparently, which is fucking annoying. Unless we can, maybe if we like move this, bring to front, does that do anything? Nope. The fact that there's a control rig active at all overrides that. Seemingly. Well then, I guess we know what to do. We need to animate this manually. Let's see, there, and then we make that root animation, which makes you fall back down. So what does that look like from a distance? Yeah, that probably should be faster, right? Yeah, that's probably better if it's faster. Maybe something like that. Oh, we even had a shot ready for the last step. Man, I wasn't even aware of that. I entirely forgot about that. That's my mistake. So we make a shot of him getting knocked back, landing on his feet, still like scooting back a little bit, and then taking a moment to gather himself. And then he springs the fuck back up and does another one of those swing attacks. I think after this, I'm going to end the stream because I just noticed that it's already 9 and I've been live for 2.5 hours. So, yeah. Not as productive as I probably would have liked. Not gonna lie. But let's play around with this camera here, because this camera definitely is going to need to be redone a little bit as well. This is a Cinema Camera Actor 4. So this entire transform just needs to be redone. That's fine. What we can do is we can say transform here, and then can I pilot this, please? Can I do that from this menu? Doesn't seem like it. Maybe on my cinematic view and I enable this again. Is that it? No, it just won't let me move this around for some fucking reason. I don't know why. Then what we'll do is I will turn this off, and then we'll camera 4, no, that's camera 4, right? That's camera 8. Little known fact, camera 8, not camera 4. This is camera 4. Okay. I would very much like to pilot this, which we can do by right-clicking. I said which we can do by right-clicking. Why can't we right-click? Oh, I'm so fucking done with this shit. Can I, for the love of God, just move this camera? Without having to do it through this handle, because that's just annoying. Any other actor, I can't right click on anything. Why not? None of this makes any sense to me. I just want to move around. That's literally all that I want to do. Can I just please move this camera actor around? Because can I do it from here? I can't do it from there. It's not ideal, but at least I can fucking do it. Where's the pilot option? Never mind, I can't do it from there. Unless I am... No, I cannot. Why will forever be a mystery. But I suppose I'll just move it through this method. or not. Yeah, no, I don't like doing that. That is really unintuitive. I hate this. I hate my life. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna exit the sequencer. Everything is going to fucking lose its shit. That's fine. Then we're going to reopen it. And I'm gonna try again. This is camera reactor 4 is what we need. Apparently that's all I needed to do. Fucking hate that. Okay, the shortcut is Shift Control P. Why am I looking at it from behind? Somebody please explain to me, why am I looking at it from behind? Okay, Shift Control P. Pilot that shit. Nope, doesn't let me pilot it. Because why the fuck would it? Ah, but then in this case maybe... if I do... Nope. Got me confused. Okay. I'm piloting, but I still can't move. So am I really piloting? That's the question. Pilot. You see me clicking on pilot, right? I don't know. Also, why is this in the persistent level? Why is it adding the cameras into the persistent level? It's not a big deal, but why? I'll just do it through here. Fucking fine. I like having to do that, but if this gets me the shot that I want for now, I suppose that'll do. It's way too close. Hold on. Move this back a little. See, this is so fucking unintuitive. It's unreal. You see what I did there? You see what I did there? Okay. And that works for now. We'll see if I can figure this out again. And change that up a little bit later. That said, though, this should be roughly around. This should be roughly around there somewhere. So we. right? Have some time to actually animate this thing. Which we're not gonna do today, mind you. After we've got this camera moved down, we're going to fucking end this because I am done with this shit. And then the camera should start moving just a moment up. I don't even know what this fucking keyframe means. Fuck off. Just go do something else. Yeah, no, that's definitely not how you do efficient animations. You don't animate the entire character first and then make shots that don't display like half the character. So no, that's not how I'm gonna do that. Definitely after the animations themselves have been made, go back through and change some camera stuff to maybe show things that you couldn't see before, or hide stuff that is not animated. Like, there's none of what I'm doing here is final. This is a first rough draft. Very rough. But no, I'm not going to fully animate all characters like throughout the entire sequence and only then start adding in the camera angles. That's not a particularly efficient way of my using my time, and it wouldn't really solve any of the issues that I'm having right here either. So like, if that solved my issues, fine, but it wouldn't. So nah. I don't like having to move my camera around with these fucking handles. Maybe you just need to restart Unreal and that would kind of fix this. Let's make this more of a side-on view. I think that makes a little bit more dynamic. Probably needs a little bit more time. Let's check for the timing. Yeah, that needs to be slightly slower. This is a bit too fast. Don't know what the hell this movement is. Oh, it's the last step for the... Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, let's watch from the beginning with all of the glorious temporary rough movements. Fucking fantastic. 10 out of 10. Oscar worthy. We're gonna get so many awards for this outstanding animation. Especially this. You can really like feel the emotion in the way that he doesn't fucking move. I think we're going to leave it there for today. Like, yeah, this movement, for instance, here is also very stiff. But we can work on that a little bit. It's mostly the fact that everything is moving at once. Should be a little bit more staggered in its movement. And probably should have a little bit more time to it as well. But those are details that we'll worry about later. I first want to get a rough draft of the entire thing down, and we wasted like an hour and a half on blocking out the scene in a way that made Unreal glitch the fuck out, so I'm not happy with that at all. not in the least. We're gonna end the stream here because it's late. I've had a long day before this, and now we've had a very long, very painful stream. I'll probably do a lot of the rest of this animation off stream, and then I don't know what we'll do. We'll probably do some like character animation, gameplay animation stuff on Friday still, which is a lot less painful than this cinematic animation because it's more complicated. That's the entire thing. This is more complicated. I didn't really think this through before starting, so you get to see me fumble about a little bit. Why does it say that this keyframe is red? I don't know, and I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see it. Everything's saved. See you guys again probably on Friday or something.